Good morning, everyone. So in today's class, we'll be looking at enforcing coding style. So in our previous class, we tried to go in depth in TypeScript. We at least learned how to use some build tools and actually configure TypeScript projects for production. So in today's class, we will go further and learn how to enforce coding styles in our projects. Okay. So we try to understand why code style matters, the technical benefits, the business impact, and we'll look at the tree-to ecosystem. So to some of us, and under tree-to ecosystem, we have ESLint, Prettier, and Husky. So some of us, we already know what ESLint is, what Prettier is, and what Husky is also all about. And we've used these tools actually. So we'll first of all understand the importance of these tools and why we use them. So why code style matters is code style enforcement isn't just about, it's not just about aesthetics. So it's about maintainability, collaboration, and reducing cognitive load. So essentially, okay, so essentially, when developers work on code bases with inconsistent styling, they spend mental energy passing different formatting patterns instead of focusing on business logic. So mainly, that's why we need, that's why code style matters. So developers will focus on business logic instead of focusing their energy on passing styles and the rest. So for the technical benefits, the first benefit is it reduces cognitive load. That consistent patterns allows developers to focus on logic rather than syntax variations. The second benefit here is faster code reviews. So reviewers can concentrate on functionality instead of style nitpicks. The third benefit is bug prevention. So consistent patterns makes like anomalies more visible. Let's say if your code is correctly formatted and there are rules, you will quickly see a bug and then try to fix it before any other thing. And the fourth benefit is automated quality gates. So it prevents style-related issues from entering the code base. So before you even push, commit, or do whatsoever you want to do with your code, before review, you'll be able to see where the error is coming from and then fix it before any other thing. So moving on, we have the business impact. So under business impacts, code style reduce onboarding time for new developers. So even if there's documentation and there's every other thing, code style, when you look at code and see the style in which it is being written, okay, this is how it's done, and this is they don't need to explain every bit for you. Lower maintenance cost. So maintenance is low because the coding styles have been enforced. So maintenance is easy, no errors. The rules are written on how you want the code to always appear. Faster feature delivery. So features are delivered faster because there are already rules guiding your code base. So you don't have to make any mistakes, or once you make a mistake, the rule will guide you and try to show you, okay, you've made a mistake, go back and correct it. It also improves code quality metrics. So this one is self-explanatory. It improves code quality metrics. Everything is almost perfect with rules and everything. And moving on, we have the 3-2 ecosystem. Under this, we have the ESLint, Prettier, and Husky. So enforcing coding style, which is a 3-2 ecosystem. We have ESLint, Prettier, and Husky. So first of all, look at ESLint. So what is ESLint? So ESLint is a static analysis tool that identifies problematic patterns in JavaScript code. So it operates by passing your code into an abstract syntax tree known as AST and running configurable rules against each node. So the ESLint passing process, first of all, it will take your source code, then the parser will pass your source code into an abstract syntax tree, and then the rules engine will analyze your code. So once actually it will analyze each node, not your code, because your code is being passed. So using the AST, the rules engine will analyze each node and apply the rules. So if in case of any error or any warning, ESLint will report. It will report that, okay, here's a warning, here's an error, quickly fix it before moving on. And then we have also the rules. There's actually the core architecture of ESLint, how it passes code. So source code to the parser and the AST. Then the rule engine will analyze nodes and then report errors and warnings or any other thing at all. So we have the rules. So for rules, we have rules categories. We have possible errors, best practices, stylistic issues, ES6 configuration, and all of that. So you want to configure your code so that if I use a console log, you will warn me that, oh, I shouldn't use console log in your code. Or if I use a function without specifying the return type, you want to show me, okay, I must specify it. If it's TypeScript, okay, you forgot to actually annotate the return type or something like that. So TypeScript will try an error, say, oh, go back and fix this, do that. So that's what ESLint is all about. But it's more than just that. We'll quickly look at an example and how we can set up ESLint in our project. Okay, so in our previous project, let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's say we are using this TS tooling project we have here. Or what to set up ESLint. Let's change it back to TS. So in here, let's say console log request method request URL like this. And let's say const URL is equal to this. And then let's leave it like this. Okay, so now we have this. Now let's remove this comment as well. So as you can see, we have a console log in our code and we have an unused variable. But you can see this here, there's no warning. It's just here. And if you hover over it, URL is declared, but its value is never read because we've declared it, but we've not read its value. So we want to be able to identify all these things and we don't want to push code to production with this console log. So how do we make sure that all these things doesn't happen? So let's move over to ESLint. ESLint. So ESLint is a tool for identifying and preparing on patterns found in ECMAScript/JavaScript code with the goal of making code more consistent and avoiding bugs. So ESLint is completely pluggable. Every single rule is a plugin and you can add more at runtime. You can also add community plugins, configurations, and parsers to extend the functionality of ESLint. So prerequisites, to use ESLint, you must have Node version 18, 20, greater than or equal to 21 installed and built with SSL support. If you are using an official NodeJs distribution, SSL is always built in. Okay, so we have other things here. We have the rules. We have plugins, configure a parser, ignore files. So we'll come back to this. First of all, let's set up, let's go back to getting started. Let's initialize ESLint in our project, latest version of ESLint in our project. So we'll copy that, bring it to our project. We'll paste it here. npm init at ESLint/config at latest. So if I hit enter, now it will prompt me for, okay, so what do you want to link? So is it JavaScript? Is it JSON? Is it JSON with comments? Is it JSON 5? Is it Markdown? Is it CSS? So it's actually JavaScript. Now, if I hit enter, it will ask me, is it to check syntax only or to check syntax and find problems? So it will check syntax and find problems. So I'll hit enter again. So what type of module does your project use? Is it JavaScript module, import, export, or is it common JS? Or is it none of these? So it is JavaScript modules. I'll hit enter. Which framework does your project use? Is it React? Is it Vue.js? Or is it none of these? It is none of these. Hit enter. So do your project use TypeScript? And the answer is yes, it uses TypeScript. Where does your code run? Is it browser or Node? So as you can see, I can toggle this. I can select browser or Node. But if you are using a full stack framework like Next.js or Remix or React Router v7, you just press A. And if you press A, it will toggle everything. If I press A now, it toggles off everything. But now we're using just Node. So I will toggle the Node and hit enter. Would you like to install them now? That is ESLint, ESLint/JS, TypeScript, ESLint. Yes, I would love to install them now. Hit enter. Which package manager do you want to use? Do you want to use npm, yarn, npm, or Bone? Okay, so I want to use npm. Hit enter. Now it will install these packages in my project. But where am I actually? Okay, TS to me. So wait for these packages to be installed. It shouldn't take much time. So Okay, so added 170 packages and audited 167 packages in 31 seconds. 53 packages are looking for funding and found 0 vulnerabilities. Okay, so that's great. Now we have an error in our project. So without any configuration, we have an error in our project. So if the reason why this is an error is because URL is declared, but its value is never read. So the one ESLint is giving us is URL is assigned a value, but never used. Now, if I hover over this and I want to fix, if I want a quick fix, if I just want to leave it like this and use it later, I can come over here and then remove unused declared for URL. If I click this one, it will remove it because it's of no use to us. We're not using it. So let me undo that change. Now, the first one here is quick fix. If I click on quick fix and remove unused declaration for URL, if I click this one, it removes it. But the second one here, disable TypeScript ESLint / no unused vars for this line. If I click this one, it will disable that for this line and will have no errors, only for this line. Then if I undo this and I click on quick fix, quick fix. Now I have disabled a TypeScript ESLint / no unused var for the entire file. Now I can go, if I click this one, it disable it for the entire file. Now I can come here and can say const user name is equal to this. And we have no errors because we've disabled it for the entire file. Now, by the time we do away with this, then we have the error for the both of these things. So if you come to ESLint config MJS, you can see here, we have files. So we want to lint all JS, MJS, CJS, TS, MTS, and CTS files. And the plugin is JS, extended JS / recommended. So those are the recommended rules that we are using. So we can even add other rules and plugins. So this is our basic ESLint file here. And we've already started seeing errors. But now, as you can see, the console log is here, but there's no warning and there's no error. So how can we add a rule for that? Let's go back to our ESLint documentation. So as you can see, we have this. This is the configuration. Now, if you're coming from a version before 9.0, please see the migration guide. So we are using 9.0. So if you come over here, you can see that after these files are recommended something, you see rules. Now, let me just copy this object, bring it in here. So where's our ESLint config MJS file? I forgot to mention that immediately it installed and it created an ESLint.config.mjs file for us in the root directory of our project. So MJS is just the file extension for ESM, for ESM, that's ECMAScript modules. So if I come over here, paste this one, no unused variables 1, no undefined 1. So if I come over here, no unused variables 1, undefined. So console, no console, allow console statements. So if I change this to 1, So if I change this to 1 now, you see that it's warning us. Now, for warnings, it is underlined with yellow, the bottom borders, they're underlined with yellow colors, should I say. So if I change the rule now to error, now if I come over here, see now it's an actual error. I was not supposed to do this, but because sometimes we need console logs to debug our projects, we leave this to like 1, like this. Okay. Like this. So this is just one. So we can come over here. Nope. We can come over here and change this thing to, if we change this to off, then if you check our file now, we see that the warnings and the errors are no more because we're actually allowing the use of console logs in our project. So we can come over here and we can even use the value of, we can use numeric values like this. So one means warning. And if I change this to 0, let's say for the no console, let's change it to 0, which is off. Then if I change it to 2, it means error. So 0 is off, 1 is warning, and 3 is 2 is error. So if I come over here, see now we have errors. So if you don't want to use things like error off or 1, you can use 1, you can use 1, 0, 1, and 2. But I prefer using this. So if I change it to 1, now we have this in our project. So now that we've seen this error, we actually have to do away with. Okay, so this is no unused variables of. Okay, let me see. So let's open the documentation and see what we've got. Okay, so it's saying here, no, you must disable the base rule as it can report incorrect errors. Okay, so that is the reason why we're getting that error. As you can see here, it is off. Let's just copy this one and bring it over. Paste it here. Let's focus on the no unused variables. I didn't save the file. What is this? Okay. So we're still having, let's change this to off. Okay. Okay, so I can't really see why. Okay. Maybe we can have rules here as well. Version 9, I've not really configured version 9. Okay. So TS lint configs recommended. So we have this. We can basically so I'm trying to see how we can, okay, that's great. So we can remove this one. Let's see. Okay, so we found a way to work around this. So now we don't have any warnings and we don't have any errors. So this TS ESLint configurations recommended is the one giving those errors. So now we're specifying that the files we want to actually lint are TS, MTS, and CTS. Now, if I come over here and turn this to 1, now we'll see a warning in our file. Yes, we should see a warning. Oops. So what happened? Okay, 1 here as well. It should work now. Oops. Okay, is there anything wrong? Let's find a way to work around. Let's remove this one here. So this is as if I don't know and you don't know, but we're trying to configure ESLint rules in our project. So we have this no console 1.1, and here, let's move this. We still have off here. Let's change this to 1 and 1. Still nothing shows up. Remove the rules. Okay, instead of that, you do this, remove it and leave it as it was. Okay, so now we have everything working, but this rule and this one here is not applying. Maybe we should check the ESLint documentation. Legacy config, no unused vars. TypeScript ESLint. So let's come back to this. So here we have the rules, no unused files, this. So global installation, no. Rules. So we can specify rules. So add configuration to the ESLint configuration JS file. And in here, you should visit configure ESLint documentation to learn how to add rules, custom configurations, plugins, and more. So here, we can add rules directly inside of this. Okay. So after the plugin JS extend, then we can add rules after the extend. So we can come over here. Let's copy this one here. Let's cut it, paste it right here. Do away with these brackets and save. So let's see. Okay, we still have 1.1. Let's turn this off. Okay, no console off. Okay, that is working, but this one here is not working. Turn this to 1. Okay, so I guess there's a way we can extend. Okay, so I guess we should just leave it like this. Or we can just take a look at the documentation and see some more. Here they said you guys should check this to see how we can configure. So here are some of the options that you can configure in ESLint. So we have configuration comments. Use JavaScript comment to embed configuration information directly into your file. So here are some of the options that you can configure here. Globals, the additional global variables your script accesses during execution. We have rules, we have plugins. So table of contents, configuration file resolution, configuration rules, and disabling rules. Let's check how we can disable rules using configuration comments. So you can use ESLint disable Okay, ESLint disable, no alert, no console. Okay. ESLint disable and this. Okay, so these are the comments we were looking at. So if you come here, we have using configuration files. So in the configuration files, we have the rules here. No unused expressions of files. So you can specify the files you want to apply these rules to. So here we have these files. We have JS, MJS, CJS, TS, MTS, CTS. Every file with this extension should apply, these rules should be applied to. So we can basically come here and say, okay, for the whole of this file, we want to disable no unused variable, and we're fine with that. But we don't want to do that for console logs, because after debugging everything, we'll have to do away with this and this for ESLint to be happy. We don't want to push that to production, except this one. Maybe we want to push this to production, but then we can come over here. Since we want to push this to production, just see, disable this no console for just this line, so we can push this one to production. But this one, every other place, this warning should always show. And when you try to disable these rules and you push your code, there'll be code reviewers that will review your code. And when they review your code and they see all of these things, they'll say, no, you've messed up. Go back and clean your code base. Do away with this, do away with that. So that's the reason why code review is very important. And we have senior developers in an organization that reviews junior developers code, or people that have just joined an organization. We have those that have been there to review your code and then show you how things have been done. Okay, so this is basically how we can set up ESLint. But we have some commands that we can add to our package JSON to actually work with ESLint. So go back to getting started. So we have this command here, npx ESLint your file JS. That is to lint your file. So we can come over here, we can do something like npx ESLint. They will say src/index ts. Hit enter. Now it's linting our file. And now, as you can see, warning at line 5, column 2. Look at this, line 5, column 2. Warning, unexpected console statement. 1 problem, 0 errors. 1 warning. So let's try to enable, let's remove this one. Let's have 2 errors now. Now let's lint this once more. npx ESLint. And now we have at line 2, column 2, have warning, unexpected console statement. Line 5, column 8, we have error. URL is assigned a value but never used. And 6, 8, the same thing. Then now we have 3 problems. We have 2 errors and 1 warning. So ESLint is telling you where all these problems are occurring. So you can just go back there and change. So now we can just disable this for this entire file. And then when they are disabled, ESLint has no problem with that because you've disabled it by yourself. So if you lint this, we are cool. So if you want to automate this, you can come to your packages and I will add one more script. You see, lints, ESLint. So we want to lint everything in our project, and with the file extension tsx, but we can just do away with this. We want to lint all our TypeScript files. Now, if you run npm run lint, wow, and now we see index MJS. So now we can see that here, building tools like build/index MJS. So this actually did not apply. So we can say slash, let's say src, and then run this once more. Okay, so now we are telling ESLint that, okay, lint all the files in our source directory. Every other thing outside of this folder, do not lint it. Lint every other thing inside of this folder, but every other thing that falls outside, do not touch it. Then you can see it's only linting our index tiers and add tiers. So we can say, we can come on and say const no is equal to 2. Now we have an error here because we've not used this. Now if you run npm run lint, now we have 2 problems. And then the other one is in this file. ESLint is showing you the file path and the problem. And the second one is in this file with 2 problems, 1 error, 1 warning. Great. So we can even go further. We can even say lint. We can lint fix. Yeah. Thank you, Copilot. So we can add -- fix. Okay. Yeah, a comma. -- fix. So let's run npm run lint fix. Hit enter. Okay. One. Okay, so it did not remove -- fix. Okay, so it did not work. So I hope something is let's come over here and see. Search for fix. NodeJs to migrate object new line -- fix. Okay, so -- fix here. If the rule is invoked with the command line -- fix option, object literals that violate the rule are generally modified to comply with it. So the modification in each case is to move a property specification to the next line whenever there's part or all of the previous property specification on the same line. Okay, so this is an example. So this is converted to this. So we have this on this line. So this is converted. This one will be moved to the next line. We have this, and then this will be moved to the next line, as you can see here. So that is the fix. So the fix is not actually applied to all these ones here. So this one is to show you the problem. You come back and you fix it manually. So first, this one is fixing style issues and the rest. So this is how to use ESLint and to configure it in your project. If you want to lint. Now, if you have a million files in this thing here, ESLint will go over all of them and show you where errors and mistakes are, so you can fix it. So that's the reason why we said it's you focus on business logic and not linting, because once you make any mistakes, ESLint will show you here's an error, go back and fix it. You don't have to move on. So basically, this is ESLint for us. And we can see how we can use ESLint, Prettier, and Husky together to enforce strong code style. Great. So moving on, we've seen we've seen the core architecture of ESLint, the rules, the examples, and on. So we have a whole lot of rules. So let's go back here and search for rules. So just visit their website and everything is there for you. Rules, core concepts. So rules are the core building blocks of ESLint. A rule validates if your code meets a certain expectation and what to do if it does not meet the expectation. So rules can also contain additional configuration options specific to that rule. So for example, the semi-rule lets you specify whether or not JavaScript statement should end with a semicolon. So you can set a rule to either always require semicolons or require that a statement never ends with a semicolon. So all of that has fixed command. Fix may be applied automatically with the fixed command line option and via editor extensions and all of that. So configuration files, we have rules. So rule that may marked with is rule suggestions. Rule that may provide suggestions are marked with this one. Okay, let me just click here so we can see. Okay, so these rules relate to possible logic errors in code. So enforce return statement in callbacks of array methods, constructor super for directional. So we have a bunch of rules. Maybe you want people to use a function, but you don't want their, okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say you are you have an LMS where you teach students how to code, but then you want these students to write code and you don't want their function to have more than 6 parameters. A function is not supposed to have more than at most five to at most 5 to 6 parameters. So if they pass up to 7 parameters, they get an error. No, your function is supposed to have only 5 parameters or 6 parameters. So you go about that. Guard for in everything. A first statement should have, maybe you want a first statement to have a for loop, then to have the iterator should be always I or L. You specify the rule. So everything is possible with ESLint. There are rules here that you can go over. We have the deprecated, we have the removed, we have the layout and formatting. So layout and formatting, Unicode bomb and all of that, to have every other thing here. So just go over the documentation and see what you can have. So with ESLint, you can do wonders in your code and no one will escape what they're supposed to do. Wow. So Prettier here is the formatter. As you can see, ESLint is the rule enforcer, while Prettier is the formatter. That's awesome. So okay, a minute, please. So ESLint is a rule enforcer, while Prettier is the formatter. So what is Prettier? Prettier here is an opinionated code formatter that enforces a consistent style by passing and reprinting the code. Unlike ESLint rule-based approach, Prettier takes a more holistic view of code structure. So it's formatting philosophy. So Prettier's formatting philosophy, we have a couple of things it goes through as well as ESLint. So the first is opinionated by design. So minimal configuration options to avoid bike shedding. The second one I have AST based, ensures formatting consistency regardless of original style. The maximum line length awareness intelligently wraps code based on print width. So Prettier here is very, very, you will see Prettier is also good when combined with ESLint and even without ESLint. So Prettier's code, we have things like format on save, note on commit. It aims to eliminate style discussions by providing one correct way to format code. So the core formatting principles of Prettier will have consistent output, minimal configuration, and language agnostic. So it works with JavaScript, TypeScript, CSS, HTML, JS, Python, even C. The only thing I know that has its own, other languages have their own, like Rust. They have their own code formatters and all of that. Prisma also has its own, and that. So let's see how we can integrate Prettier in our project. First of all, let's come over here, look at Prettier. Here is Prettier. Let's open Prettier up. Their website is cool. So, so let's install Prettier. So to install Prettier, we can do this npm install digest save exact Prettier. Let's just copy everything and paste. Come over here in the root of our project. Let's paste this. I guess this is installing Prettier as a development dependency. And before npm version 5 or 6 or so, we have to add that as exact to specify that specific version. So if you want to know more about that, just exact, you can go check about it. Now we have Prettier version 3.6.2 in our project. Okay, so now let's go back to this. So this simply means, okay, Node, evaluate these scripts here. So we are writing an inline script that Node will evaluate. So Node will say, okay, fh write file sync this, write this to this file. Do you know what this means? This is a file. Fs write file sync will create prettier.prettier.rc and then write this thing into the file. So let's execute this. Test it here. Node does this. Then we have prettier.rc and this thing is written in our prettier.rc. So let's go back. Then create an empty config file to let editors and other tools know you are using Prettier. Okay. Now next, create Prettier ignore file to let Prettier clear and editors know which files to not format. So we can go ahead, copy this, bring it in here, paste, hit enter. Now we have Prettier ignore. So I ignore artifacts, but in our case, what is it build? Yeah, build. So we don't want to push this to, we don't want to format this build, and we don't want to format coverage. Also, we don't want to format node modules like this. So Prettier will format every other thing, but we don't want to format those. So come back here. So now we can format files, all the files with Prettier. Prettier format everything -- right? Prettier formats. Now, before we get to that, let's first of all, we can set up our editor, do every other thing, ESLint. Okay, let's leave this for now. Let's come over here and let's add some rules for our project. Copilot is here. Copilot is trying to bring something meaningful. Okay, let's see the tab and then remove this. So now we have Copilot. Oh, that's good, but you've done enough. So rest. So we now have 3 rules. We have semi-true, we have single quote true, and we have tab with 2. So we'll first of all I don't want to specify many rules. I just want to go in depth about these 3. And then we have a lot. We have quote props, we have JSX single quote, we have trailing comma, we have bracket spacing, we have arrow, we have end of line, everything. But first of all, let's go to the semi. We have semi-true. Now let me come here and save this file. Did you see what happened? Let me undo the changes. So initially, our code did not have semicolons. Look at this line. Look at this line. Look at this line. Look at this one here. Look at this. There's no semicolon that terminates the end of JavaScript expression. There's no semicolon. But once I save this file, because if I come to my settings JSON, there's format on save. Once I save a file, it automatically formats. So now if I save this, you see that I have semicolons. But in my code editor, there's a setting that says do not add semicolons. I set that feature to false. Semicolon false. That's the reason why we do not have semicolons here. But now in this specific project, I'm saying, okay, semicolons should be true. Now, if I save, we have semicolons. Code, I mean, this is a cool feature. Now, semi here true. Now, if I come back here and change semi to false, and I come back to index.ts and I save this file, you see we no longer have semicolons. So if I come back here, change this to true, now we have semicolons. Now, single quotes here is true. Now let's come back to index.ts. We have single quotes. Look at this. Everything here is single quotes. So if I come back to Prettier and change this to false and save, if I come back to index.ts and I save this file, you see that everything changes to double quotes and it's no longer single quote. And you may be asking, so how will this apply if I mistakenly use single quotes? Don't worry, you see that in action soon. So going on, we have, let's change this back to single quote true. Now let's change tab width to 4. Now look at this. You see, my editor here, I set it so that you see a dot for tab width. Now I have 1, 2, which is 2 for tab width. Now if I save this file, notice what happens here. Now we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. That is tab width. So most projects set their tab width to 4, but I set mine to 2. Now, if you increase the tab width to 6, now notice, even without even going to that file, let me change it to 4. Look, notice what happens in this prettier file. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I come here and save 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay, change this to 6. I come here and save 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that is tab width. So let's change this back to 2 and I save. If I come here and save, we have 2. So prettier is after saving. Okay. So this is the basic configuration for prettier. Now we have print width. Print width 80. So this simply means, okay. So tab width 2. So I'm trying to push it to, so we have this. Now, if I hover over this, left, okay, not this. So if I save, so this is more than 80 columns. Like if you start counting from here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It exceeds 80. We want this line to stop at 80. Okay, let me say 80 characters actually. But now this is more than 80 characters. So Prettier will correctly format this for us to exactly like look beautiful in our editor. Now, if I save this, now Prettier has formatted this to actually match, to be below or equal to 80 characters and switch formatting over here. Can you see this? Now, if we come over to our Prettier array change to, let's say 90 and save, okay, 90, it cannot go. Let's say 120. And I save this now, it will come back to that normal. But if I come back here and set it to 80, it will correctly format our project. Now, if I save this, we are good to go. Okay, this is actually beautiful. So let's go back to Prettier website. We have, as I check, is like write, but only checks that files are already formatted rather than overwriting them. Prettier dash write and Prettier dash check are the most common ways to run Prettier. Okay, so okay, so now we have we can add this to our package JSON. We say, okay, we want Prettier. Now here we add a format script, Prettier write and Prettier format check, like this. Now we are good. So if we run, so let's say for instance, we have, let's first of all run Prettier format or Prettier format check. Or you know what? Let's default this to check and add a write script. Then change this to format write, like this. So what we do say npm run. Okay, let's just leave it the way it is. Check and write. So let's run npm run format. Let's see what happens. So Prettier is okay. So let's see. We have Prettier RC unchanged, 79 milliseconds, ESLint config, and Prettier will make sure to format all our files. So let's say we have something like this. Like this. And then we have this one like this. Now I will not save it, or let me just say, let me do something like this. And npm run format. So because it is not saved, Anyhow, but if Prettier finds a problem in our code, it will automatically fix it for us with this Prettier right. So let's say we have some pieces of code in our code base that's nowhere formatted and we want to commit to Git or want to push to GitHub so they can review our code. And before we do that, we have to enforce all these styles and make sure everything is in line with the code style in our code base. So that's the more reason why we need Prettier, ESLint, and Husky. So that's where Husky comes in. Let's take a look at Husky and what it does actually. Now, okay, so maybe we don't want to fix, we just want to check. We can run npm run format check. And now you say all match files use Prettier code style and we're good to go. Whoa, can push to production. That's great. So let's even do away with this. Okay. Can push to production. So now we've seen how we can use Prettier in our code base. We've seen how we can use Prettier and ESLint. So how can we keep these consistent? So that's where Husky comes in. So what is Husky? Husky is just it's a Git hooks script. It's something you can use to configure Git hook script to automatically enhance Git's workflow. So it will first of all, like, it's a middleman between your local development code base and GitHub. So before you commit to Git, let's say Git, before you commit to Git, Husky will first of all run the script to specify and then catch some errors. So if there are no errors, it will allow you to run those hooks you've specified. Let's say we have different types of hooks. We have pre-commit hooks, we have pre-push hooks, we have commit message, post-commit, pre-receive, and all of those. So the one we'll be running is pre-commit hooks. It runs before you commit any code. So it runs before commit is created. So let's take a look at how we can integrate Husky to work with Prettier and ESLint. Now we can come over here and see, let's search for Husky. What's this? Husky. Okay, so Husky enhances your code commits and more. So automatically links your commit messages code and run tests upon committing or pushing. So let's get started here. So npm run save dev Husky. First of all, install Husky as a development dependencies because we don't need it in production. So install it as a dev dependency. Good, installed already. So we're good to go. So moving on, we have to initialize Husky in our project. So the init command simplifies setting up Husky in the project. It creates a pre-commit script that's in dash.husky/dash and updates the prepare script in package.json. So moving on, what we have to do here, we just say nps Husky init. We'll copy this, paste it in here. nps Husky init. And then we see a Husky folder here, and then we see a pre-commit script. And then what do we see inside? We see npm test. So if you see, we can see a script is automatically added to our script. Prepare, we'll see prepare here, and then we see Husky. So anytime we run this will be done for us automatically. This Husky pre-commit and all of that. So we can come over here and remove this. We don't have any text in our project in our file, but normally you want to add a test script so that before you commit any feature or any code, you want to run tests, run styles, and run everything to make sure everything is working as expected before you can commit and then open a pull request, like create a pull request for code review or something like that. But now that we don't have any tests, what we need to do is to just say npm run, is it linked? npm run linked. We first of all want to lint our code. Yeah, we first of all want to lint, and then we want to format npm run format. So before we even commit our code, we want to run all these things, but we want to make pre-commit executable. So say ch mode plus x, then we'll move into the directory where that is husky pre-commit. Make this executable. Now, let's say git init. Let's make this one a git repository. So use master blah blah blah. Okay, so this is a git repository. You have git ignore here and every other thing. So what we want to do here is we want to commit. Now let's say npm, so say git add, git commit, and say initial commit, like this. Root commit, initial commit, okay, so we have first key. Okay. npm run prepare. Read. Okay, npm run prepare. Okay, let's do this once more. Git add, git commit, initial commit. Great. So we first of all have to run npm run prepare. So once you run this command, husky will be taken care of. Every other thing will be created for you. Well, husky sh, pre-push, pre-commit, and every other thing. So it will execute. You don't have to know what's going on in here. The only thing you need to know is here. So we have pre-commit. So the pre-commit here, before you go, that is what it is, pre-commit. Before you commit your changes, every script specified inside of this file will be run first before you can commit your code. So everything inside the pre-commit hook, it's called a hook actually. So everything inside it will be run before you can commit your changes. So as you can see, the commit was not successful because we have some errors in our code. So let's go ahead and do away with these errors. This is number one. Let's comment this out. So we can go ahead and add git add and git commit initial commit. And now it's okay. As you can see, the first thing here is linked. It first of all linked our code base. The second thing is it will first of all like format our code base and everything. And the commit now is successful because everything is formatted and we don't have any errors. We've linked our code base and there are no errors. So we can go ahead and push. So we can add another hook. Let's say we can call this one pre-push. Let's say pre-push. And this one here, you know, we've committed our changes, but we've not yet pushed to GitHub. So before we push to GitHub, this pre-push, everything specified inside of this pre-push hook will be run. Let's say npm run test or run build or something like that. Anything you want to do before you push your code to GitHub. So before you work on any code base, any production ready code base or enterprise code base, you see all of these things because they don't want you going to their code base and messing things up. So you have to see all these hooks and everything. Everything is taken care of. So if you go ahead and make any changes to this, you are not even allowed. That's why we have different branches. We have the main branch, we have the dev branch, and you have feature branches. That is the branch you create for a particular feature and the development branch. After that, you push to the local branch. That is the feature you're working on. And then you create a pull request to merge your changes to the development branch, where reviewers will review your code. A code review session will be held. Your code will be reviewed. And if you pass the code review, it will merge to development, push to the development server. Everything will be tested. And if your code is functional and everything, the app doesn't break, that's where it will be merged and pushed to production. Everything will be production ready for consumers to consume. Essentially, That's all. Nothing much. You can see how we've enforced code styles with Husky and ESLint. So if we go ahead and we do this, we have a warning here. Say git add, git commit. Let's say let's change the commit message to comment console log like this. Hit enter. And now this is just a warning, not an error. So it will allow us to commit our code. But let's say we have an error here. Let's do away with this so we can. Okay, so now we have an error. Let's go back. We'll say git add, git commit on comment error line. Hit enter. And now Husky pre-commit script fade code 1. You know, code 0 is for success and code error number 1 is for errors. So if it's 0, that means it's successful and we can go ahead and push. But now the commit is not even successful because we have an error in our code and Husky will not allow us to push until we fix that error. So this is where all these things are very important. They don't want you pushing errors and bugs to production or dev environment. So you have to, first of all, fix this in development before you can even push anything. So these pre-commit tools. And in production environments or enterprise code base, there'll be more configuration to this, more and more strict rules will be configured for you to, use and everything. So first of all, in enterprise projects, you see something files like contributing MD, and this file lists everything you need in order to contribute to their own project and every other thing. So we have contributing, and you see another folder like docs. And in the docs, every feature they've implemented, they will have documentation for it. Let's say they have implemented authentication MD. So this is where you see the documentation for their authentication, how you can register a user, log in a user, and all of those things. So projects we'll get to that when we build our final project in this bootcamp. But for now, you need to understand the basics. So essentially, this is how we can integrate ESLint, Prettier, and Husky in our project. Wow. This is so much that some of us, I don't know if some of us are confused or we're all following, but it's not that much. It's simple. So I want to end this class by saying software development is it's not all about writing code. There's more to this software development thing than writing code. So code, let me say writing code is just 30% of it or less, 25 to 30%. But the rest, we have best practices and every other thing. You have to take that in consideration as well. So all of this matters. So you learn how to configure code bases, learn how to do all these things. So not only that, but we added some scripts in our package JSON. See, everything is added. So even if you forget any linting command, you don't need to look at ESLint anything. Just look at your script, lint fix, lint format, and every other thing. Just come over here and run npm run format or format check. Hit enter and it will format your code for you automatically. Okay, so we've come to the end of today's class. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask.
Yeah, hello.